From us, a history really with Binghamton in all sports at St. Bonaventure, so this matchup should be no different.
Binghamton coming out of a game as we get things started here. Bonaventure takes the ball, passing it in the back here. Yeah, Binghamton coming out of a loss not too far away from here in Canisius. Kind of a fluke loss for them as Canisius shut them out. It was a tough game. Binghamton just couldn't make anything happen offensively, but they're coming into this with something to earn here, Chris.
Yeah, talking about A-10 play, Binghamton had already faced off with GW and got a win for their first win of the season, so it was kind of a surprise to see the Golden Griffs put up 5 on what is a pretty decent Bearcat squad.
Yeah, and I believe that was their first season-opening win since 2019. So a good start for Binghamton. St. Bonaventure still searching for that good start today. Today's game will be the true test, though. And St. Bonaventure's better than their record shows. I mean, they have a lot of talent who's been here for a while. There's some seniors who stand out to me on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a mixed bag this year for Coach George, and in his second season. Trying to get his first recruiting class out on the pitch. And so it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to be a lot of leadership for the Bonnies this season, if the young players will step up and take control as the Bonnies now try to work something across midfield.
So we see them get closer and closer to the goal here.
And offside.
Barbeau with that kick. Couldn't make it happen.
Bonnie's attack just getting a little behind the defense of Binghamton and drawing the first offside of the contest.
Binghamton now here with control as they look to get something started here. And really, you look at both of these teams, they both have a lot of different strengths as far as how they play. St. Bonaventure struggling offensively, but apparently the team is very close-knit. Donnie George tells us that, these seniors has stepped up to kind of help the freshmen. And then Binghamton, really strong early on with that George Washington win.
A lot of times when you have a team like this, Coach George will play more of a ball control type game. I know he's relying on Yale to give him some more minutes in goal with Kiara out, and though she might be back for later on in the season. But as I said, the ball control game will probably benefit the Bonnies the most as Binghamton now has an opportunity.
St. Bonaventure fighting for the ball there as Binghamton grabs it back. And you can hear Coach Donnie George all the way from over here. He's very passionate. He's very positive. And really, with 3 losses, his positivity, very refreshing thought for the Bonaventure team.
You'll see Binghamton try to work it inside 30 meters, and they're a good job for the Bonnies' defense as they'll have some midfielders come back and help out defensively.
Patasic fighting for the ball there. Binghamton takes it back. As Worrell kicks the ball down. Binghamton in no rush to bring that ball over to the goal here. And what have you seen from this Binghamton team that really stands out to you about the way that they play?
Well, it's interesting that they spread out so much across midfield. Like I was looking at the junior foul, though, here right in front of us, number 19, as that ball looks like it might go across the sideline, and that should be a Bonnies throw-in. Binghamton spreads out quite a bit as the Bonnies trying to play a little ball control. Binghamton not necessarily a 1v1 kind of team, a hard rush team, but they'll certainly try to spread the pitch out, which in turn could spread the defense out and give them more chances.
St. Bonaventure once again trying to take the ball away from Binghamton. They're speeding up the pace here, though, as they lose that Binghamton kind of passing around the top here, looking for a way in.
Yeah, absolutely, Allie. I mean, we've gone inside 5 minutes and no shots on goal for either team, although Binghamton has controlled most of the action in the Bonnie's end, but now they look to break out.
Bonnie's definitely looking for opportunities as we get a whistle here.
Yeah, just a little bit of moderate body contact there will result in a free kick for the Bearcats. Interesting to see whether this will be driven into the box. It looks like it, as just about all of the Bearcats have gone down on the front line.
Maybe looking to score here?
Possibly. Nice job by the Bonnies to get that out of the box quickly.
Bonnies with the ball. Maroli cutting down. She runs for that. Binghamton says not so fast. Mima's taking that away from her. Binghamton taking the ball back. We're seeing a replay of what we've seen the last few times here. St. Bonaventure just having trouble taking hold of the ball here.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go back on that free kick, that entry, that was a nice job, I believe, by Bridget Kennedy to head that out and at least try to start some offense for the Bonnies. Now they're sagging back, and Binghamton has an opportunity here, but that header by Falvo is not going to have anybody picking it up in the mid area.
Now I want to talk about Schubert because she has not been the main person in goal for this Bonaventure team, especially not last season. But she has made a lot of really good saves, according to Coach Donnie George. In that Canisius game, even though they lost, he said it wasn't her fault, that a lot of those things were out of her control and that she's earned her spot. I mean, that's a really big opportunity for somebody like her to step in like this.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, Switzerland has a nice soccer tradition, whether it's in the EuroLeague or their own leagues inside the country itself. And Yale's a product of their youth system coming all the way here to St. Bonaventure. And as you mentioned, Allie, giving Donnie George some really good minutes in goal as we have a little back and forth on the far sideline.
And I said Canisius, I meant Texas Tech. She really great performance against Texas Tech, even though they lost that game. She had 8 saves against Baylor, which was her season high. As we pass things along here, the Bonnies and the Bearcats passing it around back and forth.
Again, you see, as we mentioned, how the Bearcats trying to spread out the pitch, working the ball to the edges, not necessarily worried about versus matchups, rather trying to get a good opportunity. And there's a run down the far sideline, and that one will go out. And I don't know if that'll be a throw-in, possibly.
Yeah, Baker just losing the handle on that one. St. Bonaventure will throw it in here. As they fight for the ball once again. Great job by Barbeau to get in there.
Yeah, Micah Maroli as well had a nice job turning away. The Maroli sisters, Micah avoiding a handball too as she turned her body to make that block with the upper shoulder.
Micah Maroli starting all 3 games of this season in her sophomore year. She's not a freshman anymore. She's a sophomore. One of those players stepping up for Coach Donnie George.
Some body contact there on Hannah Walker as she tried to make her way across the midline, and you can see Coach George throw his hands up as we take a look at that again. That is that would be a foul.
That is a hard hit.
That hard hit by Lauren Clark, the junior for Binghamton out of Manias, New York.
Bonnies take it down the field. The most control they've had in a while. Of course, I say that. Binghamton gets it right back. Sydney Hayward getting a leg in there as Bonaventure gets it back.
You'll see the Bonnies not spreading out as much as Binghamton. It's more clustered. They're trying to do a little bit of confusion and maybe have a little more ball play than Binghamton, whereas Binghamton will spread out a little more and the Bearcats take over.
Yeah, Chris, I've noticed it takes Binghamton intentionally a little bit longer to get down the field.
Yeah, it's a product of their offense, and the Bearcats head coach, Neil Bhattacharjee, he's in his 9th season here with the Bearcats. That's pretty much the offense that they look for. Spread out and get those, as I said, 1v1 matchups with long entries. Quite different from what the Bonnie's offensive scheme would be.
Binghamton passing it around here in the back once again. As we see Herbert pass it out.
There's a good example of what we were talking about, that entry for Anna Buckwalter, just out of her reach. But if you notice, there were no other attack, and nobody else on the attack for Binghamton. That was intentionally led for Buckwalter to go one-on-one. So, again, pretty descriptive of what we've been mentioning about Binghamton's offense.
Schubert getting things restarted here. She passes out to Kennedy. And it looks like that kick was not intended to land there.
Well, Schubert had gone to midfield as we see this replay. Brooke Herber of Binghamton initiating the contact there. The Bonnies got lucky because the Binghamton attacker or the midfielder, I should say, had fallen down. And so they had an opportunity just for a moment.
Maroli passing it down. The Bonnies moving quickly. Maroli with the ball once again. She passes down. As the Bonnies juggle the ball here. But Binghamton is close by. The Bearcats trying to get a leg on it here.
We talked about senior leadership for the Bonnies, and we could pick up Bridget Kennedy, the senior defender here on the near side, actually pointing and trying to direct traffic for Maroli to get an entry and trying to direct some players to set up for a better chance on the attack.
Bridget Kennedy starting all of the games last season for the Bonnies. Another crucial upperclassman for this team. As Binghamton throws it in here. A fight for the ball next to the bench.
It's going to be Bearcat possession there. Still 13 minutes in and no shots on goal as we see. I normally say soccer is a game of flopping more than the NBA, but that had a little bit of contact inside 3-on-1.
Yeah, there's a lot of legitimate contact happening on this soccer field as the Bearcats and the Bonnies are certainly putting in a lot of effort. Very competitive right now. You mentioned the shots on goal. I mean, St. Bonaventure, in their last game against Texas Tech, 0 shots that entire game. Maybe looking to make up a little ground today, get closer to that goal.
Yeah, it's almost like Tech figured them out in the second half. The Bonnies held the Red Raiders scoreless in the first 45, but they're not 8th ranked nationally for nothing. Texas Tech came out with some firepower in the second half, and the heat was also a factor on this squad here at St. Bonaventure too. Here's an opportunity for Binghamton.
Bearcats sprinting down the field is Mimas. She passes it up. Buckwalter with the kick, and it's out. It's a great effort by Mimas and Buckwalter.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alicia Donia came back to block that. That was actually a really nice job, as you see here. A little bit of fake gets Yale out of position, and Mimas puts the brakes on, tries to set up the trailer, and you can watch Donia come in here, I believe, and get an opportunity to foil that opportunity. So it'll be Binghamton now with the first corner kick of the game. I'm not sure if that was contact or if one of the Bearcats was offside. Hard to be offside off a corner, but you can be legitimately if you're past the last defender. It's an interesting call sometimes as to whether or not the assistant referee will have an offside. Now, I don't think we have the virtual assistant referee here today as they had in the Europlay or the Olympics or the World Cup.
Get things restarted here as Schubert kicks it out. The Bonnies back with the ball. As Barbeau kicks it up here to Maroli. Bearcat player getting a hand on her there.
Yeah, you can see that was an opportunity for one of these 1v1 matchups as Maya Maroli this time tried to make the turn here at midfield. Nice tackle there by the Bearcats' Mackenzie Ryder.
A fight for the ball. And the Bonnies back with it once again, down low.
Good idea there to bring it back to Yale, although the Bearcats read that, and their attack came up close inside 30 meters to try to thwart that Schubert outlet, and now the Bonnies have something going across midfield.
Bonnies kicking it past the midway point as Barbeau kicks it up, but Binghamton coming out with that one. But the Bonnies will regain control. Looking for an opportunity to get a shot off here. But Binghamton doing a great job on defense from preventing that.
Going to have Bridget Kennedy set it back up. And again, now that opportunity to Grant Clavijo and all the way back across midfield. Not as crisp offensively as the Bonnies could be, as there's a rundown here in the near sideline.
Contact, but no whistle between a Bearcat and a Bonnie.
Smart play by Binghamton just to get it across the sideline and get it out of harm's way, and a quick restart by the Brown and White.
Bridget Kennedy really doing a great job of fighting for that ball on offense.
Yeah, and as a defender, Bridget has a long way to run down this near sideline. There's a lot of ground to cover.
Binghamton resetting things here. Bringing things down the field as Buckwalter makes a long kick out to Mimas, who has a good view of the goal right now. But Kennedy putting that pressure on her as an excellent save from Schubert.
Yeah, excellent save by Yale. And again, we talked about Bridget Kennedy forcing the attack to the outside where really not a shot to be had. Bad angle, but to prevent anybody else from getting an opportunity off the rebound. Yale kind of takes that in and will reset for St. Bonaventure.
Schubert kicking. Long kick there. As St. Bonaventure sets something up here. Barbeau. Up to Maroli. And that one is out. As Binghamton will throw it in. Herber with the ball. Binghamton slowly but surely moving this closer and closer to their goal here. Herber back with control for the Bearcats as she makes a long pass to what looked like Mimas. The Bonnies getting a foot on that briefly, and now back with possession. Kennedy fight for the ball there. Bonnies will get to throw it in here. As Barbeau gets a kick on it. Sydney Hayward, haven't talked about her yet. One of the standouts as far as these upperclassmen go. She became a captain last year. She started 16 of 17 games back in 2023. She's somebody who's really stepped up in a leadership role for this Bonaventure team.
Yeah, absolutely, and the defense could be one of the stalwarts of this Bonnie squad this year for head coach Donnie George in his second year.
The senior out of Hilton, New York, really taking on that older role as Schubert. Another fantastic save.
Yeah, pretty easy opportunity for Yale, but you know what? The easy opportunities make these goalies more confidence, and a confident keeper is a keeper that's going to make a lot of saves. Nice job by Yale.
It all goes in the stat line at the end of the day. That'll be another save for her. Bonnie's with control. Bearcat knocked over on the other side of the field here. A lot of contact early on.
Yeah, there's a lot of players on the pitch that might know each other, as both of these schools recruit a lot around Central New York specifically. And, of course, one asset for Donnie George in his second year is the addition of Kendrick Tarmino to his staff. Kendrick was a 5-year member of this Bonnie squad and now serving as Donnie's assistant coach, which he said is a huge boost with some of the younger players.
Bringing someone into the program like that who already knows the program, an important call for Donnie George as Schubert will grab the ball here.
So an offside there as that got in tight as we were talking about Kendrick and Donnie George and putting together that staff. Binghamton had an opportunity, although they weren't as crisp with that attack inside the box either. And really, that's because of the Bonnie's good defense that got Binghamton all out of sorts. And now Schubert with the kick and a reset.
Schubert, a long kick. As Barbeau will chase it here. Kennedy will throw it in. The Bonnies set up once again. Maroli fights for it, but the Bearcats come up with it. Buckwalter once again stepping in as the Bearcats pass it down here. But a great fight there by Barbeau. And the Bonnies take it back.
Just a little too far out of Torrey's reach on the far sideline. And if you've noticed, Binghamton has started to play St. Bonaventure's game. Earlier in this first half, we saw them spread out. Now they're more contained. Now they're slowing down a little bit. And as we get to the halfway mark, I'm not sure if we'll take a hydration break or not, but Binghamton is actually kind of playing along with St. Bonaventure, which is exactly what the Bonnies would like to see.
Binghamton once again setting things up. Moving down the field here fast, but not so fast because it was kicked out by one of the Bonnies. They'll throw it in here as they look to reset once again here. Herber passing it back to Williams here as they try to inch closer and closer to that goal. And we mentioned the Bonnies, a team better than their record shows, but Binghamton also better than what their record shows and better than how they played in their last game against Canisius.
Yeah, and you could see Mimas with the quick touch to try to get the wing here as we check the replay, and Thea Jewell taken across the goal line for a corner kick for the Bearcats. But again, nice defense by the Bonnies. But I was going to say about Mimas with just a quick up touch to set the Bearcats wild on the wing will result in a Binghamton opportunity here. And that will probably be a goal kick for St. Bonaventure.
The header there by one of the Bearcats, just not quite on target. The opportunity was there.
And a corner kick is so difficult sometimes to judge. We have no breeze. I know the flag is barely moving, but really no breeze to speak of. You'd like to get a curl off that corner. Sometimes you just get a little adrenaline, and it goes way past the box, and there's really no opportunity to do anything. with that kind of corner kick.
As the Bearcats regain control once again here.
Let's see where that goes out. That might be another corner. It might be a goal kick there.
Another opportunity here for Binghamton to get something going. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, that'll be a goal kick for St. Bonaventure. The Bearcats were looking for a controlled play there across the center, but the attacker on the far wing just could not keep up with that delivery. Schubert with a nice ball near midfield.
Hayward taking control of it there. But Binghamton says not so fast. The Bonnies coming up with it again here. Bridget Kennedy. As there's a little bit of contact. Not enough to justify a whistle. As the Bonnies look to restart this offense here. Ptacek up to Barbeau.
Using the referee as a shield.
Yes. A fight for the ball. A long kick there by Grant Clavijo, but Williams with the save.
Yeah, you see Torrey getting free to hammer that one in for the first shot on goal for St. Bonaventure. About 26 and a half into the first half.
Binghamton back with the ball. As Herber looks for Falvo. But the Bonnies taking it back.
Yeah, Falvo with a nice back heel tried to free Mimas. But a good job by St. Bonaventure's midfielders to read that. And quick to that ball was Maya Maroli for the Bonnies to restart the offense.
Bonnies back with the ball, but Binghamton passing it back here again.
Yeah, Lily Ma just could not catch up to that give. And now a long drive, and that's going to be offside. And the Bonnies defense did a good job. They saw that long entry, and you can kind of lay back a little bit and draw an offside call. And Schubert was way out at the top of the circle to head off any Bearcat attack anyway. But an opportunity here for St. Bonaventure, as we're going down near 17 minutes.
Yeah, things are winding down here. Not any offense from either team yet, as they struggle to put a goal on the scoreboard here. The Bonnies with it once again, looking to get close to that goal. A pass and a great look.
Wow! Just a fantastic job by St. Bonaventure.
Lily Ma with the goal. She played in all 3 games for the Bonnies. An excellent look here, Chris.
Mentioned earlier how Ma couldn't catch up to the entry on the near sideline. This time she did, stayed onside, and was able to beat the Bearcat keeper pretty easily to the far side using that angle. And for Lily Ma, she not only gets her first goal, but gets the Bonnies on the board first as well.
A big moment for Lily Ma. First goal of the season. That's a big deal. As we get things started here once again, the Bonnies now with some momentum here early. Or maybe not so early, but the earliest momentum we've seen all game.
And that's a St. Bonaventure goal, scored by number 4, Lily Ma.
Barbeau fighting for the ball there. You can hear the energy from the crowd. The Bonnies getting something going here against the Bearcats.
First score so important in these matchups, especially on a very warm day where the pitch temp is probably about 10 degrees warmer than the air temp, and confidence builder as well. And we talked with head coach Donnie George. That's what he said. He wanted the confidence built for this team, and what better way to build confidence than to go up 1-0.
A great opportunity for Lily Ma. Hopefully something that inspires her other teammates to get going on offense too for the Bonnies. And the Bearcats now playing down. There's a little more urgency, right, Chris, to get things going?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As we mentioned earlier in the game, they were spreading out the pitch. Then they were more contained. Now they've got another Bonnies run back behind their defense, and all they can do is get it across the goal line. And let's see if that'll be a goal kick or a corner kick. Nice opportunity for St. Bonaventure. And now we're seeing them beat the Bearcat defense to those loose balls.
Yeah, both of these teams being shut out in their last game, as we see some substitutions here for Binghamton, as we see Mackenzie Ryder come in for Martillo.
So the Bearcats will take a goal kick, and Williams will kind of restart rather than driving it deep to midfield.
The looks don't get much cleaner than that goal. I mean, the goal was completely wide open there for Ma to get a shot in. As Binghamton takes it down here once again, sprinting for the ball, but St. Bonaventure wants to get to it first. Sydney Hayward going to throw it in for the Bonnies. Or sorry, Schubert.
Yeah, another goal kick opportunity for the Bonnies, and a nice job of making sure they were closer to that goal out than any of the Bearcat attackers. You'll probably see the Bonnies slow down tempo a little bit here with 14 minutes to go in the first half. Coach George never stops moving on that far sideline. Anxious, agitated, getting his squad prepared to defend what could be a Bearcat onslaught. And here's another opportunity for Binghamton.
Binghamton passing it around here. A long kick. But Bridget Kennedy taking control of that right away for the Bonnies. Alexander over to Barbeau. As the Bonnies playing a little more pep in their step. Something they're not used to, playing up. But the Bearcats grabbing it there.
Ella Yardom in now for St. Bonaventure. And I wanted to just make a mention about that header by Bridget Kennedy. You saw how controlled that was, and it actually led to a break for the Bonnies midfielders. She really positions herself well in the center of the box.
Back and forth here. The Bonnies taking control once again. Some contact, but no call. The Bonnies take it down here. They run. That one getting a little ahead of them here. The Bearcats might have an opportunity to take it back. But not so fast.
Tori with a nice entry, and Ma's calling for it here on the near side, and she was all alone, Allie, as you watched Lily Ma run all the way down the near sideline with her hand up. A cross to Ma would have put her in the box one-on-one against the keeper, and the Bonnies could have been up another goal.
And we've seen that a few times now where they've just passed a little too far. It's whoever gets to it first, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Those entries are kind of tricky. It's, you know, you're on the run. You're trying to gauge momentum and speed and the angle all at once. And it's not an exact science, that's for sure. And sometimes it works out to your advantage. Sometimes it doesn't.
And for the Bearcats, worked out for them as they make their way down the field once again here. Walker with the kick. And another kick. Contact. The Bearcats ending up with it, though. Sydney Hayward getting a foot on it there. As Brown passes down to Falvo. Kennedy taking that one back. With a low pass to Westwood. And the Bonnies juggling it here next to their own goal.
Bearcats doing a nice job of keeping the Bonnies contained in a little bit of a triangle, and now finally an outlet pass, but Binghamton will take it right back.
Martillo with the ball for the Bearcats as they pass it around. Looking for an opportunity to catch up to the Bonnies right now as this first half winds down with 10:25 on the clock. Bearcats looking to get some momentum coming into halftime. But we'll see if they get that as the Bonnies try to take it back, but once again kicked too far.
Fresh legs for Ella Yardam, who had just come on as a substitution, and she was trying to track that errant pass down, but just had gone too far.
And as this clock winds down, how important would you say it is to come into the second half with momentum of being up a point or a goal?
Oh, it's going to be huge. And the one thing, though, I don't think Coach George wants the Bonnies to sag and just play defense. He'd like to keep them on the attack. Again, as he mentioned, that trip to Texas was supposed to be kind of a start for getting ready for conference play. So you wouldn't see the Bonnies necessarily drop everybody back across the stripe. You'd still want to see them attack, as we have here with Yardam holding it at midfield. I think one thing that Coach George might be talking to the players about, Allie, is the fact that they've been chasing the ball around quite a bit instead of playing their area or playing their opponent.
Definitely a lot of back and forth between these two teams right now in the entire game. Bonnie's looking to regain control here, but the Bearcats looking to make something happen. As they still staying to that spread out game.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Bearcat coach Neil Bhattacharjee is kind of slowing the tempo down. You would think they would be more on the attack, and now the Bonnies have an odd man rush.
The Bonnies with unlimited energy out here today. A very distinct difference in styles is what I'm seeing.
Oh, absolutely. And you'd like to see Lily take that shot right there. She already has the one goal, the lone goal in this game. And she gave up an opportunity to try to draw it back towards the center box.
And is that where that confidence piece plays in there? Is kind of building that confidence to take those shots maybe next time?
Yeah, I would say so. You'd certainly want, as I mentioned, you certainly want your goal scorer to take those shots and not necessarily... Look, it's a fine line between being selfish and unselfish on the pitch, right? So you'd like to see Lily take that shot. Maybe another opportunity will come up where she'll be able to feed somebody. But that looked like a real nice opportunity for the Bonnies to go up 2-0.
Bonnies getting real close here as they look for an opportunity and a shot off. Great save there by Williams.
Yeah, good shot. Good save. That might have been headed towards the far post as we take a look at it again.
It was on target.
Yeah, nice job by Williams.
We'll get things set up here again. Does it looks like the Bonnies are getting ready to put someone in. But not yet. As the Bearcats will throw this in.
Now the substitution will be allowed. Looks like Tori's going to go off.
St. Bonaventure substitution entering the game, number 24, Kristen Picard.
Kristen Picard, the senior from Pendleton, New York, will come on.
She appeared.
Let's see. No, now she's gone back off.
They've changed their mind.
I'm surprised. I thought the referee was allowing the substitution. Now Picard's standing there with her arms out wondering what's going on, but she will take the substitution vest back. And it looks like Tori will stay in the game for the meantime.
Some confusion maybe over on the bench there. Not really sure what happened, but she is still waiting. Bonnie's back with possession here.
Very smart play by Hayward to take it back to Schubert and let Schubert kick it back to midfield. Binghamton was surging a little bit on that side. And as you saw Falvo right there do the same for Binghamton. Get it back to the keeper. Let the keeper get the long out, and then you can possibly get started at midfield rather than running the whole pitch.
And you mentioned before, Binghamton sticking to the slower style of game here. What do you think is responsible for that decision?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, Allie, because earlier in this match we saw Binghamton spreading themselves out, trying for long runs on the wings, and now they're really slowing the pace down as that feed for Falvo wasn't even close. So it's really surprising to see how Binghamton has changed their style of play to almost match St. Bonaventure's, and now I think we'll have our substitution finally with the dead ball.
And maybe on the opposite side of the spectrum, what about the way St. Bonaventure is playing, is matching up well against Binghamton right now?
Yeah, they're actually presenting a tough matchup for Binghamton, with the Bonnies slowing down a little, being more controlling. And that's probably why Lily was able to spring herself on the wing so easily for that goal.
Bonnie's taking things back here. Binghamton just looking for that opportunity to get a shot off. Not getting it yet.
They'll have a corner kick opportunity now. Only 3 shots for Binghamton, which is really odd considering the type of offense that they came into this game with.
Yeah, and St. Bonaventure on the opposite side of that spectrum with not taking any shots in their last game. Also with 3 shots. An improvement for them. As Binghamton kicks things in here. An opportunity. Schubert. Great save.
Binghamton is going to say that went across the goal line, but I'm not so sure that Schubert did not save that before it crossed the goal line. The ball has to go all the way over. As we see the highlight, Schubert got her hands on it. Then a rebound. She goes down to her knees to prevent that ball from going across the goal line.
That does not look like it went over.
No, and Binghamton's argument might also be, Miller might have also argued that Schubert made the save behind the goal line, but in any event, play on.
Binghamton, possibly a good look there, but no shot.
What's interesting is Binghamton came into today with 19 shots on goal in their 2 previous games. And yet today, so far in this first half, they only have 4.
Not on track to match those numbers. As Schubert kicks that in. Do you think that's a combination of St. Bonaventure's defense and the way they're playing, or is it just St. Bonaventure's defense?
I think it's a part of the Bonnies' defense. I think it's a change in offensive philosophy for the Bearcats. Again, as we mentioned, slowing down. The Bonnies would like to slow down tempo in every game that they're going to play with a mixed squad of experienced players and brand new players. Everybody's trying to mesh, learn each other on the fly. So I'm pretty sure Coach George would like to slow games down all across the board, something Binghamton usually doesn't do.
Kicked out there as the Bonnies head that one. They'll look to restart things here once again. The clock winding down, 1:53 left in this first half. Bearcats need to get something going if they want to carry that momentum into the second half. A header, but Bonaventure taking control once again. Just quicker to get to the ball there. As Williams kicks it down here.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Allie. We've seen ever since that goal was scored by Lily Ma, the Bonnies have been quicker to the ball on every toss-up advantage that could be had.
Somebody I'm seeing a lot of sprinting out of, Sydney Hayward. It's traditional Sydney Hayward behavior to be sprinting for that ball. Bonnie's doing a great job. As the Bearcats pass that one back in.
1 minute remaining in the first half. 1 minute.
As 1 minute remaining. The Bonnies taking that one from the Bearcats.
Well, you just mentioned Sydney Hayward. You saw what a good job she did trying to use her body as a shield off the Bearcat attack, but the Bearcats will have a throw-in rather than a corner kick opportunity, which is a really good job by Hayward.
34 seconds as they look to make something happen on offense. The Bearcats running, but the Bonnies kicking that one far enough to where they have to make up that ground.
Yeah, nice job by Lily Ma getting back to help the defense, clearing that out of the box.
A high kick there by Hannah Walker, the junior out of Pennsylvania. 8 seconds until this first half is over.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And that is the end of your first half here at the...
Not only are we going to change sides of the pitch, but a change in goal and maybe a change in offensive philosophy too.
Fresh legs in goal for the Bearcats, the sophomore from New Jersey. As we get things started here, St. Bonaventure taking charge of that ball right off the bat. A fight for it right away, as we see both teams try to get the momentum here coming into the second half. A lot of energy still from these Bonnies. Maybe Binghamton looking to get some of that same energy going coming out of halftime. And if you are Coach Bhattacharjee, what are you saying to the Bearcats in that halftime meeting?
It's only 1-0. That would be how I would lead off. You played a controlled half. We changed tempo. Yes, it's hot out, so let's take more control. If we have to slow it down, we'll do that. But again, it's only 1-0.
Garofalo passing down here as the Bearcats look to get something going. And as you said, they're only down 1. Not a significant deficit here. Both teams in the last games they play, their opposing teams took a large lead very early. So this is a game of opportunity for both of them right now to get something going. In the Bearcats game against Canisius took the lead very early, already up 3 at halftime. It was a tough situation for them and a tough hole to get out of, but not the same thing going on here today, as they still have the opportunity to tie it up.
Yeah, no, that would be an entirely different situation and conversation at halftime when you're down by 3 as opposed to down by 1. Corner opportunity now for Binghamton. This will be their 5th corner opportunity as Buckwalter will attempt.
An opportunity here. Buckwalter, the inside. That one goes right over the net there. A good opportunity, just couldn't make it go into the back of the net, Chris.
Yeah, excellent opportunity for the Bearcats as Braswell, I believe, the freshman, was the one that got up high. You'll watch here as Schubert, no, that was not. That was Evie Underhill, the freshman from London, who got up high for that header over the crossbar. And luckily, because Yale kind of jumped a little early, mistimed that corner, Bonnies might have gotten away with one there.
Bearcats back with possession. A kick by the Bonnies, though, and it's out of control as they'll take the ball on the sideline.
Sometimes that sideline play gets so congested, you'll just see throw-in after throw-in until finally somebody breaks it out into the center area, which it looks like St. Bonaventure is trying to do now.
St. Bonaventure, I've noticed, doing a good job of breaking away from the Bearcats' defense, and the opposite thing happening on the other side of the field here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a testament to Coach George and Coach Tarmino on their defensive philosophy. Earlier, we saw the Bonnies chasing the ball instead of playing their area, their zone, and a player, and now they're back to much better defense as the Bearcats try an entry.
Garofalo with the long kick as the Bonnies try to regain control, 2 against 1. Baker fighting. That one will go right at the edge here as she kicks it off of Walker. Walker didn't see that one coming. It looks like it was just a little off target there for the pass. The Bearcats will bring this one back in.
be another corner opportunity for Binghamton.
Binghamton racking up those corner opportunities today, Chris.
Yeah, as St. Bonaventure has not had one yet, and these are some of your best opportunities to score at this level.
A little far on the kick as the Bonnies will regain control here. And those numbers are kind of going the opposite way. I feel like usually when you see a lot of corner kicks, it's a lot of opportunities and that results in goals, but we're not seeing that here today.
No, that one was a little bit long, as we mentioned earlier in the contest. A little bit of adrenaline gets you a little bit longer of a corner kick than you would like. You'd like to have that centered in the box like the previous attempt, but easy save by Schubert as well.
Hayward to Westwood. She makes the high kick to the middle. The Bonnies coming up with it once again, but the Bearcats close behind as Maroli once again. The kick might be a little longer than she wanted to Hannah Walker, as Binghamton will throw this one in. Megan Baker, the sophomore out of Rochester. Binghamton taking control. Have you seen a change in their offense since halftime?
Not yet. To be honest, I was just going to mention to you and to everybody watching and listening that the flag is limp. There's no breeze. We know it's hotter down there on the field turf than it even is in our tent. And so that might be a factor here in the second half. You might see play slow down a little bit.
St. Bonaventure trying to come up with this, but the Bearcats getting a foot on it, kicking that one out. Trying to get this halfway, and they will. St. Bonaventure running close behind as we get a whistle here.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an offside on Binghamton. Hayward was racing to get back to a defensive position here on the near side as you see the offside call. That was a very nice entry, or at least an opportunity, I should say, for Binghamton on the far side. Nice timing, but in any event, it'll be St. Bonaventure's possession, and they'll be able to reset now.
Binghamton racking up those offside stats in their stat line here, as looks like a player is down on the field for Bonaventure. We can't see who that is. That
might be Tori.
Tori Grant Clavijo.
Yeah, there was some contact there. You know, we said at halftime there was only 6 fouls that were called, but much more contact. And you'll see it here as she made contact chasing that header with Binghamton's Brooke Herber, a junior from St. James. And Tori shaken up. She'll be taken off.
Important to look over a player when you have head-to-head contact like that, especially in soccer, a sport where you see a lot of brain injuries. It's important that they take a look at her on the sidelines and make sure that she's okay, go through that protocol, and take proper precautions.
Yeah, I think we might actually be having a little bit of a hydration break here, or at least taking opportunity for a little injury time for the players to get some hydration.
Definitely important steps to take, especially when you're both going for the same ball and you just end up hitting somebody else in the head. It's just one of those game situations.
Yeah, as we see that ball headed out by Binghamton, that's a good call on your part, Ellie. This is a game. A lot of people don't think soccer is necessarily a contact sport. And there's a lot of body-to-body contact, head-to-head contact, not just with the ball, but with other players as well. And it can be dangerous.
When you're not wearing helmets, even though it's not like football, when you're not wearing a football helmet or something like that, your head is very vulnerable and exposed. Definitely important to take those steps, take those precautions, go through concussion protocol, make sure everybody's all right. As we see a substitution as Alicia Danya comes in for Tori. St. Bonaventure getting things going here. That's out.
I thought maybe Binghamton had caused that out, and I was getting kind of excited for the Bonnies to have their first corner opportunity, but it'll be ruled a goal kick. I was just going to say there was some room on that far side, and that's something St. Bonaventure, with the exception of the goal by Ma in the 28th minute in the first half, St. Bonaventure has not seen a lot of open space on the pitch. Binghamton is back to spreading the pitch, although it still doesn't seem like they're playing much of an up-tempo offense.
Yeah, looking very different than the first half right now for both the Bonnies and the Bearcats. Bonnies not really able to get that ball down the field as the Bearcats pass it around here. As Marceller passes that up. We'll see Binghamton look for an opportunity. Not quite. Bonnie's defense preventing that one. They're getting closer and closer to that goal, Chris.
Yeah, Binghamton has had a couple of runs on that far wing, and here's yet another corner kick for Binghamton, although this will be the first time on the far side. But you're right. They have had lots of opportunities where they've had entries into the box, and now off this corner.
Arguably more looks than Bonaventure in the second half. As they'll kick it around, getting it close, but Schubert doing a great job once again.
Yeah, I like how Schubert used her whole body, even diving to the ground. A lot of people will say, well, that was a pretty easy save. Why did she fall? Well, you make yourself as big as possible to cover that ball up to make sure that it doesn't squeeze out under your arm or any kind of play by an attacker for a loose ball can result in a goal before you know it. So it's better to be safe than sorry with those saves.
Schubert really proving herself in goal for the Bonnies. We talked to Coach. He said she earned that spot, and she's earning it once again today, but Binghamton looking for a way around that as they will continue to take control of the ball here. Bonnie's defense close behind. What a great defensive stop there.
Yeah, nice job by Kennedy on the slide, not making a tackle out of it and getting a player involved, just basically shutting down that attack by Binghamton. As we look at it again, nice slide by Grace to take that ball off the sideline.
Bridget Kennedy, a standout today for the Bonnies. Not necessarily doing things that are showing up in the stat line, but she's really been a difference maker today, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Between Kennedy and Hayward on the back line, they have shut down a lot of opportunities for Binghamton, and they have come up really big so far.
Is that more hustle or strategy, do you think?
I would think a little of both. You can see how much Hayward and Kennedy will run this entire pitch. In fact, as a defender, we saw Kennedy running all the way down across midfield several times in the first half. So I think it's a defensive strategy by Coach George, but he's got two defenders who are willing to put in the work and hustle, as we see right there, clearing the ball right out of the box by Hayward.
St. Bonaventure, their defense working overtime right now to stop Binghamton from getting a goal. As we see them take control here. The first time in a little while that they've gotten a good run here with the ball. But not quite. I had to say something.
Just missed that opportunity there. And you see how quickly it can change momentum-wise to the other end.
A good look here. Not quite. St. Bonaventure regaining control once again. As we see Ptasek with the ball. She kicks it down here. But it looks like that one's got a little too much on it. Binghamton coming up with it once again here.
Bonnies have not had too much success on those 1v1 chances where the outlet for one attackers to take on another defender. The Bonnies have had more success in a combined run, a combined attack, quick passing. So we'll see if we can get some of that out of the brown and white here. Add another goal.
Maroli with the pass to the sideline here. Maroli once again. And you can hear Donnie George. It's very easy to tell that it is Donnie George. He calls out his players' names. He is very active on that sideline. Hannah Walker up to Hayward with some fancy footwork. Binghamton trying to come up with it here. They don't succeed. Danya down, but that's a far kick.
Just a little past Ma's reach as Ma got on the horse and tried to track that down. I was going to mention that play by Walker here. She had to have that ball settle. Otherwise,
Binghamton substitution.
St. Bonaventure had a nice opportunity on attack.
Isabella Martillo in for Buckwalter, and then Devin Lillis in for Allison Falvo. So some fresh legs out here for Binghamton once again. I see them doing a lot more subbing than Bonaventure in this game.
So far, and again, the heat might be a factor.
Maybe Bonaventure coming out of that really hot Texas game, they're a little more prepared for something like this. This is nothing.
I think 107 gets you a tune for 85.
Yes, maybe. I know I could hardly stand out here in 107. I don't know how they played soccer. That, especially in August. It's got to be some real shocking numbers.
They start high school football in Texas in August. Think about that in 107.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy.
With all that padding?
Yep.
A long kick there. Ma with the ball. Up to Maroli. To Batasic. Passes it back down to Maroli. The sprint by Walker, but not good enough. It's going to go right out there as Binghamton will regain control.
Again, how many times have we seen just out of reach of a Bonnie's attacker, a midfielder, a wing with an opportunity to stay on side, just not clicking. The passes aren't clicking.
And does that come with time, playing with people? Maybe this team's a little bit newer. They aren't used to playing with each other?
Yeah, I would think so, Allie. A little bit more time together. They'll know each other's speed. They'll know where each other likes the ball on the inside or the outside of the foot, and just those little things that put together a nice offense. It'll come together in time.
St. Bonaventure getting their fair share of experience together in some of those tougher games. As Maroli brings this one down. Barbeau running to try to get in a good spot here. As Maroli juggles that. Binghamton player fell. Not sure who the contact was with. Looks like it was with Maroli.
And no foul called. Could have been a tackle, but it'll be Bonna's throw-in.
Substitution by Binghamton. We see another one here. Sophia Miller in for Lauren Clark. Wow, they're really trying to get some fresh legs out there, Chris.
Yeah, and as we keep mentioning about the heat, that could be a factor.
St. Bonaventure following that, too. Bringing Greg Clavijo back in. Looks like they checked her out. Looks like she's good. She's coming back in to this game.
So good to see Tori checked out. Again, we saw that was a pretty good collision that she took. Took a little bit of a rest, cleared to come back on for St. Bonaventure.
I think people don't realize how many head injuries there are in soccer. It's a dangerous sport when it comes to those headers. As we see Binghamton here tossing things around. I've noticed St. Bonaventure moving their defense a little bit more towards the goal. Do you think there's a reason behind that?
Maybe Coach George thinks that one goal might win this game with the heat and with the tired legs. So you're right, Allie. It does look like the Bonna's defense sagging back a little bit. The midfielders are helping out more than we saw in the first half. But here's an opportunity for St. Bonaventure to turn the ball up.
Maroli back with the ball. Walker.
Dangerous.
Hayward with an aggressive kick there. As we see Alicia run for that one.
Yeah, Donnie's got the fresh legs as she originally came in for Tori. So Alicia had no problem trying to run that down here on the near sideline. It'll be a throw-in for St. Bonaventure just about at midfield.
Hannah Walker throwing that one in for the Bonnies. She had 1 assist to Baylor. So definitely contributing for them on a regular basis. As Binghamton once again back and forth here. As they really keep things in the back of the field right now. Not in any hurry from how it appears.
No, and it's kind of surprising to not seeing a sense of urgency. I mean, we're just about 20 minutes into the second half. And the Bearcats have had some corner opportunities, but as far as rushes or really clean shots on goal, not a whole lot. Conversely, St. Bonaventure hasn't been very aggressive offensively either.
We've seen them pass ahead of each other a lot, and I'm sure that plays a part, right?
Oh, sure. Again, maybe some tired legs, or as we mentioned, a team that's just trying to find each other, connect, learn more.
Excellent save. Not sure if that was on goal, but
it's a good job by Yale, again, to not let that ball loose and prevent any opportunities as we see that ball very close to the goal line. Just pretty much riding the goal line on the outside post, and Schubert making the dive to cover up.
He could have made it. And I'm sure that's also great experience, too, for someone like Schubert who doesn't get a lot of time in goal. Every save has got to be worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gottinger expected to be back next month, so Yale's going to have some extensive minutes in the cage for St. Bonaventure.
Gottinger out for injury right now. He's a big part of this team last season, but Schubert really stepping up, especially today. As Binghamton's running now, we're seeing something completely different here. And there's that goal. Binghamton evening things up on the scoreboard. Making things 1-1. Just an excellent shot there, Chris.
Well, it's a shot that really can't be defended. When you go up high underneath the crossbar, Schubert jumping as high as she possibly could, but just able to get in as we see it again.
Wow.
Just past the outstretched glove of Schubert. And just like that, we are tied.
And that is Hannah Mimas for Binghamton. Her first goal of the season. There we go,
Hannah
another
Mimas.
new name in the stat line.
Yeah, that's something that head coach Neil Bhattacharjee is counting on. A lot of different scores for the Bearcats. They don't normally have that one sniper that you see a lot of teams have. And now, even though the score is tied, the momentum, I think, has shifted. And look at the Bonnies quickly with a rush.
Bonnie's getting excited now on offense. Maybe not happy excitement, but trying to get things going. But that's a big goal for Mimas. She's somebody who really stands out in the assist category, not necessarily the goal category for Binghamton, but a great opportunity. And we saw them take advantage of that opportunity that they had.
Well, you let Binghamton have so many of those chances, the corner kicks that they've had in this half, and the missed shots on goal, it seemed like it was only a matter of time. You mentioned how the Bonnies' defense looked like it was sagging back and allowing some entry by Binghamton. And now it'll be up to the Bonnies to kind of turn the pitch around and take advantage of some opportunities of their own as Schubert fires that back out to midfield.
And it looks like Bonnies might be looking a little tired out there, is what I just saw here from some of the players closest to the sideline.
See some hands on hips, hands on knees.
Yes. All that running. Maybe not as many substitutions as Binghamton. I'd imagine that makes a difference.
Oh, sure.
Big contact. The center of the field here. Between a Bonnie and a Bearcat. We'll see it one more time here. Both going for the same ball.
Yeah, sometimes that knee to knee or even the knee behind the knee can be so dangerous. Luckily, nobody hurt on that contact, but a foul called on St. Bonaventure.
Garofalo passes up. Bearcats looking to add another goal here. Keep that momentum going. St. Bonaventure. Obviously, now there's some urgency for St. Bonaventure and for Binghamton to try to take this one home, Chris.
Yeah, that was an interesting play there as Schubert was denied the save, but it's actually to the Bonnies' advantage to get this goal kick, so I'm not sure why Binghamton would want to tap that across the goal line, but as you see that long header coming right back to Schubert. So interesting offense from the Bearcats there during that sequence.
A long kick by Schubert. As the Bonnies take control, Barbeau up near the sideline. She makes a run. She tries to keep it away from the Bearcat defender, but not quite. Bearcats coming back up with it here. They pass it down low. And the Bonnies kind of doing something different. They're not moving their defense as fast as they were last time, Chris.
No. And as Barbeau tried to find Mallory there in the middle, a lot of pushing and shoving going on, and Binghamton's just first to the ball right now. So you see what kind of momentum a goal can give a team, that all of a sudden Binghamton has a spurt of energy now as we've gone down inside the 21st minute.
The fight for the ball, the center of the field here. As Binghamton tosses things around. And St. Bonaventure will get the kick here.
Yeah, that was a nice opportunity from Sophia Miller.
Binghamton running for it. Not quite. As Bonaventure will get the opportunity to throw it in here. Hannah Walker over to Sydney Hayward as they kick things around. And Binghamton slowing things down on offense a little bit here.
A lot of loose play in the center. That could have been a foul call on St. Bonaventure as the Bearcat was pulled down.
The Bearcats taking back control here. Baker down to Garofalo, and she passes it over near the benches. Really kind of staying in the same spot right now. St. Bonaventure once again keeping that defense on their goal side. Binghamton getting closer and closer, though.
And now we have a foul call. Wondering when we were going to get a foul called. We've noticed some pretty rough play, some pushing and shoving. And that foul there, looked like Paige Luke went down for the Bearcats. They're going to have a free kick.
Yeah, after all this contact, you figured it was going to happen at some point. Binghamton with an opportunity, though. To get something off here. Big opportunity to set things up for them.
That was a wild opportunity for Binghamton as that ball pinballed inside the box, and then that shot just wide. Schubert looked like she might have had the far post covered, but that opportunity, I think from Sophia Miller, just goes wide. As we see it again, pinballing around and then just wide off the post.
Yeah, you see how everybody in the crowd was nervous about that one.
There was a big gasp, I think, for fans and the family of both sides.
As we restart things here. And St. Bonaventure back with control here. That was almost a really good opportunity for Binghamton. It was so close. I know Schubert thought that one could be on track to go in.
And you saw Hayward there helping out defensively to clear that out of the box as we have another whistle, another foul call. I think that one might be on Mallory.
Binghamton.
On Maroli, I should say. Let's take a look at that. A little bit of, might have gotten her on the grab, and a little bit of flop sells that foul.
Yes. A lot of emotion out of Maroli.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's been very animated this entire game. A long kick here by Binghamton as we approach 16:42 on the clock. And Binghamton taking the ball at the sideline here.
Binghamton substitution.
As they make a substitution. Anna Buckwalter coming back in for Binghamton. Mackenzie Ryder coming out. Anna Buckwalter, just really talented player for Binghamton. One of their standouts. She's been a difference maker for them.
2 goals on 5 shots coming into this afternoon for Buckwalter.
She's been somebody who, if you look at her conference standings, she's the name that stands out on those lists. She's somebody who has really made a difference for this Binghamton team. Binghamton maintaining possession here. Haven't really gotten an opportunity yet to see if that goalie change has impacted them, Chris.
No, well, the Bonnies have not really had many offensive opportunities in this half. Binghamton has pretty much owned the offensive side of the pitch. Now they're going to play a little ball control. Work some of the clock down. Already in the 15th minute. This second half seems to have gone really fast for some reason.
Yes, the second half going by quickly. I think it's whoever's game can get the next goal right now is what it's looking like, Chris.
Yeah, and you can see how the Bearcats might have a little bit of an entry and then they'll pull it back and then decide to try something along there as the Bonnie's defense will take that off and kick that off the sideline. Another substitution for Binghamton.
Binghamton substitution. Here in the game, number 26, Lauren Clark.
Yeah, we're bringing in Binghamton, bringing in Lauren Clark for Sophia Miller as they sub her in. And, ooh, looks like one of the Bonnies got hit in the head by the ball there.
That was a hard line drive. And we're going to make sure, see who that is. Going to make sure she's okay. And that's Tori, who already had some contact earlier and went out on a substitution. Tori's going to go back out after taking that line drive shot up above her shoulders. And she has certainly had a game today. She's paid the price. And a little bit of an injury time out here will also allow the players to hydrate.
Another one of those important moments if anybody gets hit in the head. Just making sure they're taking protocol here. And it looks like she got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, we'll see it again from this angle. And wham. Certainly not trying to take that as a header.
No.
Just happened to be in the way of a very, very hard shot.
Taking a second here to make sure she's okay on the sideline. Definitely wasn't part of the play, just got caught in the middle.
And those inadvertent injuries can happen more than more than anything deliberate, I would imagine. You're just in the way. Sometimes even friendly fire can take a player down.
It looks like that was Ella Tardam, which Grant Clavio is going to come in for her as she gets evaluated and checked out. And I'm sure, too, you don't see that coming. You just get the wind knocked out of you. Kind of need to take a second. Those are not soft balls that they're kicking around.
No, that's for sure.
Very solid objects. She's walking, which is good to see. As Binghamton will have this one at the sideline.
Yeah, this will be a free kick opportunity for Binghamton, trying to make as much room as she can, trying to get that into the box. A nice job by St. Bonaventure to deny, and that kick goes a mile high past the goal.
No concern there for St. Bonaventure's goalie. And Allison Falvo in the game now for Devin Lillis for Binghamton. As they just try to get those fresh legs in and out of the game. St. Bonaventure not doing that as much.
No, I don't know if Coach George is just playing with a shortened squad today or feels like the players are adjusting well. As we keep talking about that 107-degree day last Thursday, maybe they're adjusting better to the heat.
St. Bonaventure at the ball in the middle of the field here as long kick there. Great kick to Walker as she fights for the ball here. But Binghamton's goalie right there as Walker takes a leap right over her.
What a somersault by Hannah Walker. Again, having to take that extra second to get the ball to settle. It just cost her an opportunity to get past that last defender for Binghamton.
It was a big jump. As Binghamton gets things started here once again. Fancy footwork there by Binghamton as they maneuver around those Bonaventure defenders. Bonaventure coming up with it, though. Binghamton right back at it as Luke brings the ball down the field and she falls over. Hayward with a great kick to Maroli.
Yeah, Hayward with a nice job of getting that out. And here's an opportunity on the far sideline.
Alexander running for the ball, but she's got Garofalo right on her. As Garofalo will come up with it, but she's not giving up. They'll kick that out to the sideline, though. Force everything to reset here. As it looks like Barbeau will grab the ball there on the sideline for the Bonnies. Throw it in to Maroli. We'll reset things here one more time.
Yeah, it looks like Kennedy with the throw in right in front of the Bearcat bench. And again, sideline play usually gets real clustered up and a lot of traffic before somebody's able to break out.
And I gotta say, I've seen Binghamton switch out a lot of their stronger players, but St. Bonaventure keeping a lot of their stronger players in, like Kennedy, like Hayward. A big difference there.
Again, maybe Coach George feels more comfortable with them on the back line. It's be interesting to maybe talk to him about that, because you're right, Allie, especially on a hot day, you might want to see some fresher legs for some fresher opportunities. So it could be as simple as trusting those defenders more than anybody else, as now Yarnum had an opportunity on the far side, but we're going to rule that offside, I believe. Ella, the freshman from Bath. Good opportunity for the Bonnies now into the 10th minute.
As we will, Binghamton, get things started here again on offense and try to get things across the field here. As they try to make something happen, try to break this tie with 10 minutes and 10 seconds to go.
Quick turnover for St. Bonaventure. Here comes Maroli. Nice job by Binghamton to shut that down. Garofalo defending that entry.
As we see Binghamton take this over at the sideline. Bonaventure chasing after it. It's still keeping things kind of slow here on offense. So we see Garofalo pass back and forth with the goalkeeper here.
Still time for either team to break out on the long run. I think maybe once we get inside of 5 minutes, you'll probably see more of a sense of urgency right now. Players still trying to play each other one-on-one, as you see there on the far side of the box. That loose ball picked up by Binghamton.
Megan Baker. Oh, almost a great assist there if she could have gotten that shot off. But not quite.
I don't know if Binghamton was looking for a foul there in the box. It would have been pretty dangerous for St. Bonaventure if they had called that.
They got very close to a look there, Chris.
Yeah, very close. This is, it seems like on this end of the pitch, Binghamton has pretty much owned it offensively. I mean, this is the end where Ma scored her goal for St. Bonaventure, so maybe it's just that side that's more lucky than the other.
8 minutes and 30 seconds. Things are going by quickly. This has been a very exciting game. A lot happening on both sides here. Just not able to make it connect in these last 15 or 20 minutes. They just haven't been able to complete anything. St. Bonaventure looking to grab that ball, and they do. As they get closer to the goal, Alexander making a pass out to Maroli, who passes down, but Binghamton coming up with it.
And he saw at the beginning of that whole set that Yardom had the ball. She was 1-on-3. And the Bonnies weren't filling up the wings to try to help her. And it eventually becomes a turnover, even though the Bonnies will now have the throw-in. But got to have a little bit more help for the attackers if you're going to send them in on the 1v1 balls like right now. That goes too far, but looks like it might still be Bonnie's throwing.
Do you think that could be a matter of getting tired? Maybe not chasing after the ball?
It's possible. It just could be some miscommunication too. As that ball, Maroli got that ball so quick to Yardom that there was nobody else to fill the wings. So maybe a combination of miscommunication and a little bit of heat fatigue, as we got some dangerous play there. Schubert way out.
Lauren Clark taking on Sydney Hayward, trying to get that ball from her, and she succeeded. So we got two players going for one soccer ball. And there's really a lot of energy out here. You can feel the clock winding down by the energy that on this field is just completely shifted.
Yeah, that was a nice opportunity by the Marolis to get a Bonnie's winger open. Shot a little off the mark. But that's the first offensive opportunity and the first shot for St. Bonaventure in quite some time here in the second half.
Yeah, I've got to say, I haven't seen them on the offensive end very much. As Binghamton passes this one out. Kessler not having to work very hard in goal right now.
No, I think she's only had to make 2 saves this half.
As Garofalo passes things out. Fight for the ball at the center field, but St. Bonaventure still not able to come up with it here. As Luke has possession of the ball. Defenders on her. She's unfazed though. Baker, a good look at the net. Not quite. This could be it. Not quite again. St. Bonaventure now regaining control. That was a big opportunity there, Chris.
Huge opportunity for Binghamton. And again, the Bonnies lucky a foul wasn't called in the box, as there was some slight contact. Maybe not enough for a call, but still some contact in the box. And the Bonnies have to watch those open wings. Something that the Bonnies need to be doing is something Binghamton is doing, freeing up their attack on the wing.
Looks like Binghamton's doing a very good job of setting up that pass as
absolutely.
they keep things down on their end. Garofalo over to Baker. Maroli not letting the ball out of her sight. As Binghamton, if you're Binghamton right now, are you trying to score as soon as possible, or are you waiting a little bit?
Well, we mentioned inside of 5 minutes, we thought we'd see a little more sense of urgency. Looks like Binghamton is content to just kind of play a little bit of keep away, so to speak, and just go for the long entry like they are right now, trying to head that up over Schubert. And she's going to need some help to get that cleared.
I meant to ask, how nerve-wracking is it if you're Bonaventure, if your goalie is all the way out at the end of the goal line there, not in goal? Obviously, Binghamton wasn't that close, but that's taking a risk, yeah?
Well, let me tell you, Coach Donnie George, that was probably one of the few times you haven't heard him talk, because he probably was ready to swallow his tongue to see yell out that far in a tie game, taking a chance like that.
Luckily, 2 St. Bonaventure players were right there, but that could have been potentially dangerous. As Binghamton still juggling the ball here with St. Bonaventure, playing a little bit of back and forth here. Once again, Garofalo slowing things down here at the back of the field. A long kick by Herber, and that'll go over the sidelines. Almost going into the tent over there. As they kind of reset things, we're going to see some people come in the game here. For St. Bonaventure, we have Mackenzie Ryder in.
Udofa is going to be in for the Bonnies, and Tardum will take a seat. Ecomini getting some time today here inside the 87th minute now.
St. Bonaventure, that's a new face. Udofa maybe trying something different here in this last 3 minutes.
Well, she should have some fresh legs, right?
I gotta say, there you go. There's those fresh legs right there, running after the ball. Hoping to maybe see a change of heart here on their offense. Get something going. As Maroli takes a look at the goal here a little bit. But Baker is determined to get that ball. It was so close. She tries to pass to Udofa, but it doesn't make it. There's too many defenders.
I do have to say the Maroli sisters do a very nice job at midfield, turning momentum back and getting the attack started quickly as the Bearcats basically with an arm drag takedown. That'll be a free kick for the Bonnies on that foul.
Lauren Westwood getting shoved to the ground there, basically. And it wasn't a quick one. That was a long, obvious shove there.
I think that was Minas that took her down. We mentioned Lauren in our open, how we thought we would be looking to her for a little bit of extra play. We haven't really called her name much this afternoon.
No, it has not been her game necessarily. It's been a lot of other people who've stepped up. Sydney Hayward, one of those people who's really been sprinting after the ball. Bridget Kennedy, another one of those people who's really stood out in this game.
It's a good opportunity from Walker, making sure everybody stayed on side. Just a little too long for any kind of offensive chance, but those are the kind of opportunities when they look back at this film that Coach George will enjoy. Here come the Bearcats.
That was so close. Looked like a goal from here until it went past the net there, Chris.
Yeah, Yale did a good job on to come out and cut down the angle. Here you'll see it from behind the goal line. Kicks her leg out at the last minute as that shot kind of fooled her, but she did a good job to come out and make the goal smaller as she comes out to cut down the angle. And now we're in the final minute.
Even though they're tied up here, Binghamton, lots of opportunities, just not making it happen. This is really crunch time, though. If any of them want to break this tie, St. Bonaventure And Binghamton really facing off here, juggling the ball. Nobody really close to the goal. Udofa with those fresh legs. Coming down the field here, trying to battle out Baker. Doesn't succeed. But lots of urgency from Sydney Hayward there.
Just fantastic play from Hayward all game.
9,
8 seconds
7,
as we count down here.
5, 4, 3, 2,
And
1.
It looks like that'll be the way this one will end with a score of 1-1.